Have you ever felt it? That subtle shift in the air, the unspoken tension, when you truly commit to transforming yourself? It's rarely overt. People won't come right out and say it. Instead, it manifests as a barbed joke, a piece of unsolicited advice thinly veiled as concern, or that uncomfortable hush when you dare to speak of something beyond the superficial. What's truly at play here is remarkably simple. Your burgeoning mental evolution is a direct challenge to their established comfort zones. And let's be honest, very few people willingly embrace the mirrors that expose their own inertia. Perhaps you're navigating this very phenomenon right now. You've started to view the world differently, to act in ways that deviate from your old patterns, even to question long-held beliefs you once accepted without a second thought. And suddenly, you find yourself feeling isolated, misunderstood, or even judged. What no one truly prepares you for, and what nature inherently understands, is that this is the inherent cost of forging a resilient mind. Not just any strength, mind you, but a kind of strength so potent, so authentic, that it inherently unsettles those around you. It intimidates them. Without uttering a single word, it illuminates the complacency of those who still drift through life on autopilot. Why does this happen? Because a truly powerful mind is an undeniable threat to collective mediocrity. Nature has always been clear on this. When you choose to think for yourself, to forge your own values, and to shed the convenient illusion of ready-made truths, you become a force. Dangerous to the status quo, dangerous to the unthinking masses, and most profoundly, dangerous to the person you once were. Consider this an awakening, a profound challenge. This isn't for those content with stagnation, or those who seek easy answers. This is for you, the one weary of being a prisoner to your own insecurities, the one standing on the precipice of a profound internal shift, ready to construct something impervious to external influence. A mind that no one can manipulate. A mind that evokes fear because it refuses to yield. If you're ready for this path, a journey that is often solitary, undeniably arduous, yet ultimately transformative, then stay with me. Because what the wisdom of the ages has to impart will confront you, yes, but it will also grant you an unparalleled liberation. And after this, you will never perceive the world or yourself in the same way again. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche wasn't merely an academic. He was a profound diagnostician of the human spirit. He possessed the rare courage to gaze into the abyss of existence and not only confront it, but to willingly plunge into its depths. And it is precisely within that chasm, that internal tumult that so many actively avoid, that he pinpointed the wellspring of genuine strength. For Nietzsche, human transformation doesn't occur within the confines of peace, stability, or rigid order. It is forged in the crucible of pain, in the aftermath of a fall, in the very heart of chaos. He famously penned, "You need to have chaos inside you to give birth to a dancing star." This isn't some whimsical poetic flourish. It is a profound psychological insight. It means that if your aspiration is to cultivate an unshakable mind, you must abandon the naive notion that it will materialize through comfort, superficial motivation, or empty positive affirmations. No, authentic strength is birthed when you confront suffering head-on, without evasion. It arises when you cease imploring life to be simpler and begin to genuinely desire greater inner fortitude. Reflect on the periods of your most significant personal growth. Were they times of ease and tranquility, or were they moments when you felt shattered, disoriented, compelled to painstakingly rebuild yourself from the ground up? Nietzsche was convinced that suffering wasn't an unfortunate flaw in existence, but rather its primary catalyst. He didn't romanticize pain, he regarded it as an essential instrument. And if you can fundamentally alter your relationship with pain, with setbacks, with solitude, you will begin to sculpt something truly rare, an indomitable spirit. It is at this very juncture that the world begins to feel disquieted by your presence. While the majority flee from chaos, you will learn to navigate its currents. While others yearn for normality, you will be creating something far grander. However, this profound metamorphosis demands a brutal severance from all the conventional wisdom you were taught about strength. Being strong isn't about perpetual smiles or maintaining a facade of emotional control. True strength lies in enduring the seemingly unbearable and emerging on the other side, even more potent than before. Yet, Nietzsche also understood that chaos, left unchecked, can be destructive. You can be consumed by it if you lack an internal compass, an unyielding anchor. This brings us to a pivotal moment in Nietzschean philosophy, a concept that often elicits discomfort but is absolutely essential. The death of God and the profound burden of existential responsibility it places squarely upon your shoulders. Because when there is no longer a sky to look up to, it is within you that the universe must be born. When Nietzsche declared God is dead, he wasn't celebrating. He was issuing a stark warning, a prophecy many still fail to grasp. What he sought to dismantle wasn't a literal divine entity. He eradicated the illusion, the comforting illusion that a higher power is orchestrating everything, the illusion that a predetermined plan exists, a ready-made meaning, a purpose bestowed from an external source. The death of God signifies the end of all excuses, and that, undoubtedly, is terrifying. Prior to this radical pronouncement, it was remarkably convenient to externalize responsibility for your life. It was soothing to believe that every event served a purpose, that suffering was merely a component of a grand cosmic design, that ultimately, a greater good would justify all hardship. Nietzsche, with unparalleled ferocity, rips away this comforting veil. He gazes directly into your eyes and declares, "You are alone. There is no prefabricated meaning. You are now the creator." This is where the authentic construction of a powerful mind truly commences. Most people crumble when confronted with the stark reality of their solitude in the face of chaos, without a manual, without guarantees, with no one left to blame. But those who possess the profound courage to face this truth without disintegrating, they begin to forge an unshakable consciousness. With the death of God, Nietzsche propels you into the abyss of radical freedom. You are no longer meant to follow commandments. You are commanded to create values. You are not to obey, you are to surpass yourself. This is the birth of a brutal, unadulterated autonomy, and accompanying it is an immense weight. Everything now depends on you. There is no more absolution, no external salvation. You either construct yourself or you succumb. But here lies the profound secret. This very freedom, which initially instills such fear, is simultaneously the most potent source of power you can ever possess. When you fully comprehend that no one is coming to rescue you, something profound awakens within. A fire ignites, compelling you to rise even when bleeding, forcing you to think for yourself, to feel for yourself, to act not because someone dictated it was right, but because you decided it was so. It is in this profound rupture with existential crutches that Nietzsche meticulously prepares the ground for something even more magnificent, the emergence of a new way of being, a human archetype who does not adhere to the dictates of the herd, who requires neither approval nor permission, a being who crafts their own morality, transcends their own limitations, and lives as a creator, a being who instills fear in the weak because their very existence compels others to confront their true, unvarnished selves. This being has a name. Nietzsche termed it the Übermensch, the Overman, and it is this concept we must now delve into. Because if your aim is to cultivate a mind so robust that it cannot be broken, you must comprehend how to embody this figure who exists beyond conventional norms, guided solely by their own profound will to power. Let us plunge deeper. Nietzsche harbored no illusions about a slow, passive evolution of humanity. He championed rupture, radical transformation, and what he called creative destruction. This is the genesis of his concept of the Übermensch, the Overman. This is not a mythical superhero, nor someone endowed with supernatural abilities. The Übermensch is an individual who has transcended all the conventional shackles that bind the ordinary person: guilt, blind obedience, herd morality, the pervasive need for external acceptance. The Übermensch does not seek validation. They do not ask for permission to exist. They forge their own internal laws and live by them, even if it positions them squarely against the entire world. This is precisely why their mind becomes unbreakable, because it is not predicated on the expectations of others. It requires no external affirmation for its own validation. It is self-sufficient, drawing its sustenance from its inherent will to power, the profound intrinsic drive to shape reality in its own image. This is the crux. The Übermensch does not conform to the world. They impose meaning upon it. They do not seek comfort. They seek greatness. They do not ask, "Is this permitted?" They ask, "Is this worthy of me?" This radical shift in perspective alters everything. When you begin to perceive yourself as a creator rather than a mere servant, your very way of thinking, acting, and feeling undergoes a complete metamorphosis. However, herein lies the profound challenge. Becoming this kind of being demands significant sacrifice. You will be compelled to extinguish those parts of yourself that still crave approval. You will face the piercing pain of not belonging. You will bear the immense weight of constructing your identity from its very foundations, without guarantees, without comforting pats on the back, without the applause of an audience. And the harsh truth is, most individuals cannot endure this. They capitulate before they even truly begin, retreating to the perceived safety of pre-packaged beliefs, dogmas, and rules crafted by others. The path to the Übermensch is inherently solitary, and Nietzsche understood this intimately. He himself lived on the fringes, frequently misunderstood, often labeled insane, isolated from the very world he sought to liberate. But it was within that profound isolation that he discovered his ultimate freedom. And this is a crucial understanding. The stronger your mind becomes, the further you will inevitably drift from the masses. The higher you ascend, the more you will disrupt the established order. The construction of the Übermensch is perhaps the most brutal and transformative process any individual can undertake. It demands that you meticulously dismantle everything that is not genuinely yours, everything imposed upon you by a pervasive culture, by a society that often rewards blind obedience and punishes authentic individuality. And only after this profound act of destruction can you truly begin to build anew. But this new edifice is not erected amidst the crowd. It is built in silence, in withdrawal, in the deep solitude that irrevocably separates the truly strong from the weak. And that is precisely why, in our next exploration, we will delve into the most overlooked, yet most powerful aspect of this journey, the profound solitude of the strong. Because the unvarnished truth is, to become truly unshakable, you will have to learn to walk alone. And very few are truly prepared for that. Are you? If there is one truth about the path of mental strength that no one ever explicitly tells you, it is this: the stronger you become, the more profound your sense of solitude will feel. And it's not necessarily a chosen isolation. It's because the world gradually finds itself at a loss for how to engage with you. Nietzsche articulated this with striking clarity. The free spirit, the individual who consciously breaks away from conventional morality, who refuses to accept simplistic truths, who dares to think independently, inevitably distances themselves from the herd. And that distancing, while painful, is entirely necessary. Because genuine growth demands space, and you simply cannot grow while tethered to the ever-shifting expectations of others. Most people exist within an invisible herd, a collective where every thought is tacitly policed, every action measured by the reactions of others. You've grown accustomed to moving with the group, thinking like the group, feeling a sense of security simply because there are people around you. But what Nietzsche proposes is the radical antithesis. He forcibly extracts you from that comforting embrace and casts you into the metaphorical desert. In that stark desert, there are no accolades, no ready praise, no guiding hand. There is only you, your doubts, your unresolved traumas, your deepest fears, your persistent urge to surrender. And it is precisely there that the true test begins. What will most people do in such a desolate landscape? They will flee back. They will once again conceal themselves behind their masks, pretending they don't feel, don't think, don't truly perceive. But you, if your commitment to becoming someone impervious to external forces is genuine, will have to remain. You will have to endure the profound silence that ultimately reveals who you truly are. Nietzsche declared, "The individual must always struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try, you will often feel lonely and sometimes scared, but no price is too high to pay for possessing yourself." That is the essence of it, the possession of oneself, the rarest and most potent achievement any individual can attain. Because when you genuinely possess yourself, no one else can exert control over you, no one else can dictate your intrinsic worth, and no one else can truly diminish you. But this profound self-possession arrives hand in hand with the weighty cloak of loneliness. You will lose certain people. you will be misunderstood. You will hear whispers that you are arrogant, eccentric, detached. They will attempt to drag you back into the mold. They will label you as crazy, cold, insensitive. Yet, this is the inherent cost of refusing to be domesticated. It is the cost of no longer needing external applause. It is the price of refusing to live as a mere reflection of others' needs. And here is the unvarnished truth. If you cannot tolerate solitude, you are not truly prepared for freedom. Because all genuine freedom comes with a degree of abandonment. The abandonment of emotional crutches, of comfortable illusions, of purely utilitarian friendships. That is why Nietzsche viewed solitude not as a curse, but as a privilege, a sacred battlefield where the authentic self finally has the space to emerge unburdened. However, this liberated mind, this elevated spirit, does not merely walk alone. It begins to perceive what others cannot. And with that heightened perception comes a second unavoidable consequence: the confrontation with mediocrity. Because when you begin to grow strong, the collective mediocrity instinctively senses it, and it reacts. And that is precisely what we will discuss next: the insidious danger of collective mediocrity. Because the world does not persecute those who conform, it persecutes those who dare to shine. Nietzsche harbored no fear of tyrants, authoritarian leaders, or overt oppressors. What he genuinely feared and vehemently condemned with philosophical fury was the subtle, insidious, and utterly corrosive power of collective mediocrity. That invisible system that perpetually keeps everyone leveled down, that punishes those who dare to think differently, that rewards blind obedience, and that cleverly disguises cowardice as virtue. True tyranny, according to Nietzsche, doesn't originate from above. It emanates from the sides. It comes from the amorphous crowd that demands you remain small, lest they be forced to confront their own arrested development. And this is precisely what unfolds when you begin to stand out. When your mind sharpens, your spirit solidifies, your very presence becomes unsettling. You start to disturb, not because you're doing something inherently wrong, but because you are doing something exceedingly rare. You are shattering the mold, and society, as a collective, detests those who shatter molds. Collective mediocrity cannot endure individual brilliance because that brilliance, by its very existence, illuminates the inherent darkness of ordinary, unexamined lives. Nietzsche termed this the slave morality, a morality constructed by those who, incapable of achieving true greatness themselves, resolve to invert values. They cleverly redefine strength as arrogance, ambition as selfishness, independence as coldness. And with this twisted logic, they engineered a moral system that ostensibly protects the weak, but, in reality, condemns the strong. But make no mistake, this isn't born of genuine compassion. It is born of deep-seated resentment, because the weak often do not truly desire to be saved. They desire the strong to be diminished. That is why, when you embark on the path of self-liberation, they will invariably begin to attack you. Sometimes directly, sometimes subtly, with pointed glances, pregnant silences, or thinly veiled irony. But the message is always unambiguous. Go back to the group. You are making us feel small. And you are, unintentionally, simply by being authentically yourself. Nietzsche understood that the vast majority of humanity lives in a state of paralyzing conformity, an existence meticulously shaped by fear, guilt, and obedience. And anyone who dares to question this pervasive state is immediately perceived as a profound threat. But do not be fooled. Mediocrity does not launch its assaults with brute force. It attacks with numbers, with consensus, with the suffocating weight of repetition. It will strive to sow seeds of doubt within you. It will attempt to convince you that you are fundamentally flawed for not fitting in. It will use all available social resources, from shame to outright exclusion, to compel you to lower your head and conform. And it is at this crucial juncture that many relinquish their nascent strength, because they cannot bear the burden of being the strange one, the difficult one, the arrogant one. But Nietzsche would bestow upon you a different appellation: necessary. Because while the world endlessly recycles tired ideas, pursues manufactured desires, and clings to comfortable untruths, it is the strong individual who introduces the vital discomfort required for something genuinely new to emerge. Your difference is the spark of transformation. but it is also the inevitable target of resistance. Being strong, thinking freely, living autonomously, all of this constitutes an act of war against collective mediocrity. And like any war, it demands preparation. It demands weaponry, but not physical armaments. It demands mental weapons. And that is precisely what we will address now in our concluding reflection. Because there is an undeniable, very high cost to cultivating a mind so potent that it instills fear. But there is also a reward that no one, absolutely no one, can ever strip away. In this final realization, you will grasp both the profound price and the unparalleled power of being truly unbreakable. You've journeyed this far. That alone distinguishes you from the vast majority. Most would have clicked away from this video at the first hint of genuine challenge, recoiled at the initial flicker of discomfort, or switched it off the moment they realized this content isn't designed to stroke egos. No, this is a clarion call. An invitation for those ready to shed the comfortable illusion and confront reality with unflinching, wide-open eyes. Because forging a mind so strong that it becomes feared is not merely a choice, it is a profound renunciation. You will experience loss. You will lose friendships built on superficiality. You will forfeit opportunities that require intellectual or spiritual submission. You will relinquish the capacity to be content with mere crumbs. But in exchange, you will acquire something utterly priceless: integrity, crystalline clarity, an undeniable presence. You will begin to keenly observe that most people exist in a profound slumber, and that your burgeoning lucidity is unsettling. Your unwavering firmness makes others tremble. Your mere absence resonates louder than the presence of many. This strength does not originate externally. It cannot be acquired from self-help books, nor is it earned with ready-made phrases or empty affirmations. It is meticulously unearthed from the deepest recesses of the soul, in the profound silence of difficult nights, in the solitary choices that no one else sees. It is the inexorable outcome of an internal war, a relentless struggle between the person you were and the person you are inexorably becoming. And this war has no true end, because the truly strong are not those who have merely triumphed. They are those who steadfastly continue to fight, even when they possess every reason to cease. Nietzsche's ultimate aim was not to cultivate a legion of followers. He sought to ignite internal earthquakes. He yearned for you to cease groveling for approval, to stop begging for meaning, to abandon the futile search in ready-made systems for what can only be constructed with your own effort, your own understanding, and your own hard-won awareness. He desired for you to become dangerous, not in a violent sense, but in a profound, rare sense. So rare, in fact, that your mere existence forces others to look in the mirror and confront what they are avoiding. Now, I want to invite you to do something that will solidify this process. Write in the comments a truth you were tired of hiding, an opinion you were afraid to voice, a thought that makes you feel isolated, but that represents who you truly are. This is an integral part of the journey, claiming your voice, showing your presence, and more than that, declaring that you will no longer bend. And if this message touched you, if something inside you was awakened, don't stop here. Thanks for watching. If this resonated, please like this video and subscribe to stay updated. I look forward to continuing this journey with you. Until next time, take care and be present.